For months, Chris Cieslak tried not to think about this moment. Thinking about it would only cause heartache. This business of saying goodbye to her daughter Kara, her husband Jeff, and her son Johnny. Chris is going to Afghanistan, to a war, for 1 year. The leaving is painful.
Honey, don't worry about me. You do not worry. There is nothing to worry about.
You can see how difficult it is if we pause the video for just a moment, right here. See, to an 8-year-old boy, a year without your mom seems like forever. And how does a mother in camouflage, with a weapon strapped to her back, provide comfort and reassurance? How can you be both a soldier and a parent? Two roles that seem impossible to reconcile. And yet, they must be reconciled. And here they are. And if we could only stay here in this moment of balance. But we can't.
And I want you to write to me. Do not worry about me. There's nothing to worry about. I love you too. And I'm going to come home. I'm going to come home safe to you, okay?
Chris has to get on a bus and then a plane, which will take her to a war, halfway around the world. And Johnny and Kara and Jeff, they'll go back to their home in Pittsburgh. We've asked thousands of people to do this thing, to leave the people and things they love, to fight wars on our behalf, even as our attention wanders to other issues, like rising gas prices, the federal deficit, budget battles, the royal wedding. Still, the wars remain. And families like the Cieslaks do a lot of the heavy lifting. So let's take just a moment or two to learn something about this family. Let's go to the Cieslak home in Ben Avon. Here they are a week or so before the deployment. Chris is 42 years old. She and Jeff are both engineers. Chris owns a successful business. And we wondered, how did Chris become a soldier?
Actually, I never intended to go into the military, but when I was in high school, my mother encouraged me to apply for an ROTC scholarship, just really basically to keep my options open.
Chris won the scholarship, and she attended Penn State University.
The ROTC program had a tremendous impact on my self-esteem. It taught me so many things as far as what I'm capable of doing that I never thought I was capable of doing.
When Chris graduated, she received a commission in the Army Reserves. She stayed with the reserves even after her 8-year commitment.
I started to feel like I was coming into my own. I'd been promoted a couple of times.
Then along came Kara and history.
First child was born in May of 2001, and in September 9/11 happened. So it was very clear to me that I was meant to be in the service and to continue that service, even though I had a 6-month-old or a 3-month-old at home.
Less than 2 years later, along came Johnny.
Of course, when my son was born, I considered getting out again, but I really had reservations about leaving the service without being able to fulfill my obligations and serve in a deployment.
In 2004, Chris deployed to Kuwait for 6 months. Then, in October of 2010, Chris learned she'd be going to Afghanistan. She handled the news in stages. First came denial.
And then anger about the fact that they had disrupted our schedule.
Then sadness.
You know, I don't stay sad for long. So then it was a to-do list of, well, these are all the things I have to do in order to disengage myself from my civilian life.
Chris had to prepare her consulting business for her absence, and then
get my children ready for this big event and, you know, get myself emotionally ready to handle it.
These are some of Chris and Jeff's friends from the neighborhood. They're throwing a farewell party for Chris at a local coffee shop. These people will provide much of the support the family needs.
It feels like a warm embrace with this community, and knowing that they have pride in what I'm doing and pride in what my husband is doing, and that they're willing to reach out and give support wherever it's needed.
This is Chris at the elementary school that Kara and Johnny attend. That's Johnny by her side. She told the kids in a way that they could appreciate what she'd be doing in Afghanistan.
because I'm an engineer, I get to build things and I get to fix things, that's right, and I get to do like really cool stuff like, well, you would like this. I get to make sure everybody's poop is taken care of.
Then the kids got to try some Army food. Finally, it was time for the Cieslaks to leave for Vicksburg, Mississippi. That's the home of Chris's unit, the 412th Engineer Command. One day before deployment, the soldiers were honored during a brief ceremony.
Lieutenant Colonel Albert Brown, Lieutenant Colonel Christian Cieslak, Lieutenant Colonel Kirk Daly, Lieutenant Colonel William Gates.
So about a week ago, Johnny came up to me and started kissing my arm a lot, like kissing and kissing and kissing. I asked him what he was doing. He said he was giving me 365 kisses for each day that I'd be gone to Afghanistan. I'm not sure what number he's up to, but every once in a while he leans over and he just starts to just shower me with kisses. He's gotten my elbow, my knees, my cheek. Sometimes it's a little sloppy, but it's worth it. My brother-in-law put it, when I deployed the first time, he talked about it like ripping a Band-Aid off. And you anticipate the rip of the Band-Aid for days or weeks or months leading up to it, knowing that it's going to be really, really painful. And then once the Band-Aid is ripped off, it gets, at least for the soldier that's deploying, it gets a lot easier because we've got a new job to do, we've got a big change in our life we've got to get our mind focused on. And so it's really easier for us after you've ripped the Band-Aid off, but leading up to it, that anticipation of how hard it's going to be is very difficult. I know the first time I visualized it very much, and that created a lot of heartache, so I try not to visualize the leaving.
Tracy Coleman is serving with Chris. The two have known each other for more than a decade. Tracy knows what will happen after all of the goodbyes, when Chris gets on the bus to begin her deployment.
There'll be a little quiet time, and then, the unit will come together again, and we'll figure out a way to comfort Chris. I mean, Jeff's great. He takes care of the kids really well, and they're great kids, so, they're going to be okay. You just have to remind each other of that.
So now, we're back to the goodbyes. Kara making her mommy laugh.
You really know how to do it.
Johnny recovers, and he too tries to lighten the mood. And then she's gone.